Hello there, my name is Simon from CramTheExam and welcome to another video where I walk you through another English exam question. This question in this video is going to be the FCE Use of English Part 6 gapped text reading question, which comes from the excellent website examenglish.com. If you're getting ready for the FCE, CAE and many other English exams, go to examenglish.com. Plenty of wonderful resources to help you get ready for your English exam. Now, the Part 6 gapped text question, just about got that out, is quite a tough question. As always, you've got to read through the text first, through the gapped text first, get a good idea of what's going on, the context, the people involved, how everything works together, what's the story. Once you've got a good idea of context, then go to the answers and then see if any of those answers could fit the context. And at that point, it would be a good idea to have a look to see if there are any vocabulary links, just because we're looking not only for contextual links, but for vocabulary links as well, to make sure that the answer is the answer. So let's find out what the answers are and why the answers are the answers. So for the first question, for the first answer, the answer is G. Now, why is it? Many of the most expensive commercials ever made are those in which A-list celebrities flash a beautiful smile at the camera. So the idea is that people, commercials are wonderful, glamorous, beautiful. And then after the gap, it says here, someone's advertisement is different. It cost £10 million, but it didn't include rich and famous, wonderful, glamorous people, but it included villagers from mountains. So the context is one of contrast. So we need an answer that gives us our contrast, and G gives us our contrast, specifically as it says, not so. Not so. So not that it's full of A-list celebrities who look beautiful, but rather that they've gone and done something different. And of course, there refers back to the Irish drink company Guinness. So a clear vocabulary link there. For B, it says the advertisement features a game of for the second question, it says the advertisement features a game of dominoes. It begins in a darkened room where several thousand ordinary dominoes are set up on a specially designed table. And then afterwards, it tells you a story about what these dominoes do and how they build up and up and up into a great big let's say adventure of domino falling. So what we need here is something that fits into the context of dominoes building and what's going to happen. And we get that with our answer A. It tells you what happens to the dominoes. The dominoes are on the table, then the dominoes fall out into the streets, causing the larger objects to tumble, and then after the gap it tells you what those objects are. So what we've got here is context in terms of order. This happens, then this happens, and then you've got an explanation. For the next question, it says that the location chosen for the commercial was Iruya, I probably pronounced that wrong, a village high up in the mountains of northwest Argentina. And then afterwards, after the gap, it tells you that the journey takes a long time, that the destination was remote, etc., etc. So we're looking for an answer that fits the context, perhaps of location, of difficulty, or something along those lines. And the answer that we've got, which is C, actually tells us about how difficult, of how you would get there. In fact, it talks about the journey, which links to this vocabulary here, the journey. So getting there, in other words, there is a vocabulary link which refers back to the location. Getting there involved driving along 48 kilometers of dirt roads, crossing 12 rivers. And then afterwards, as I said, a vocabulary link there. The journey, in other words, the process of getting there, could take up to 10 hours. And then, of course, you've got the idea of a remote destination. In other words, somewhere being a long way away from anywhere. And you get that idea with 48 kilometers of dirt roads and crossing 12 rivers. So plenty of vocabulary and context links there. For the next, for question number 4, it says for 1 month the village population 1,000 I think, increased in size by almost 30%. 140 crew members descended on the village. These included the world record holders in domino toppling, Weyers Domino Productions from the Netherlands. Now we're talking about, or the context is about talking about the people who were involved in the filming. So this answer should presumably follow that context as well. And if we have a look at the answer, which is F, we see this. So we've got the world record holders in domino toppling, and added to this was the total of 130 actors who were recruited from 5 neighbouring towns. So we know why there were so many people in that village. And then after, for question number 5, it says, creating this film was no easy task. Preparations for filming took well over a month. 26 truckloads of objects were brought in. And then it tells you what those objects were. Books, tyres, mirrors, fridges, etc, etc, etc. So what we need here is an answer which somehow connects the idea of objects and what those objects are into the context of perhaps location, where we are. And if we have a look at the answer, which is B, we can see that straight away. This answer gives us that connection to the context. These, in other words, these is the vocabulary link to truckloads of objects and everything that's mentioned after the gap, were all chosen to suit the town and fit in with the people's way of life. So it fits into the context of the whole article and the location of where these people are. And lastly, for 6, filming in this location was not without its difficulties. Firstly, being so isolated, it was hard to get resources at short notice. The second problem was the high altitude. And then it talks about more difficulties about villagers who had no experience of filmmaking. So we're talking about the difficulties of the filming here, and we would want an answer that fits into that context as well. And we get that with D, where it talks about the location 3,000 meters above sea level, which links to the idea of high altitude, so vocabulary link there. And then you've got the film crew not used to working in such conditions, in other words, the village, high altitude, and difficulty to obtain resources, so vocabulary links there. And then we've got this structure here. It was also hard working with the villagers. So we're talking about, this links to the idea of context, of talking about difficulties. So one difficulty was working in such conditions. The other difficulty was working with the villagers who had no experience of filmmaking. So clear vocabulary and context links there. And there we go. That's why the answers are the answers. And just for fun, let's hit the check answers button and we can see we've got 6 out of 6. If you've got any questions about my explanations, or you would like some further explanations about why the answers are the answers, leave a comment below. If you disagree with anything that I said, also please leave a comment below. Please remember to check out all of the other videos on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to see new content, and I'll see you again soon with another English exam question walkthrough.